Britain, the body that governs registered greyhound tracks in the UK. I began by asking him if it's time for the sport to be banned.
OK, well, it's a very open question, and the answer is going to be no, in so much as the government don't believe it to be a cruel sport. We certainly would oppose that, and in fact it's a sport that's actually going to start to flourish, we think.
I've been given all sorts of bits of information, and if I just throw some questions at you, Mark, it would be great. The greyhound racing industry as a whole is self-governing. They answer to nobody. Is that true?
No, that's not true at all. We answer to the industry for a start, but more importantly than that, we answer also to EFRA and DEFRA, so the ministers within DCMS.
There's no regulation to prevent a greyhound being killed if he or she is not profitable.
I don't quite know what you mean by that, because any dog can be put to sleep, even in the domestic market. But certainly if it's not profitable, what I think you're trying to allude to is the fact that if a dog becomes injured on the track, that actually the costs of treatment would be so prohibitive that the dog would be put to sleep instead of being treated. And that's something that we want to address.
Oh, so it does happen?
It does happen at the moment. It's a part of the industry whereby people simply can't afford the veterinary costs, and we're talking, it could be up to £4,500 to repair a hock injury. But that's exactly the same with my own dog if I was going to take that into a vet because it got injured playing in the field.
Now, if greyhounds are bred just for the racing industry, what happens to the puppies that don't make the grade?
Well, first of all, we're not responsible for those that don't make the grade. We're responsible for dogs that are aged about 15 months when they are registered with us and come into it. Clearly, morally, we're concerned about what happens to those dogs, but most of the dogs are bred in Ireland, and we liaise with our colleagues in Ireland to make sure that, obviously, dogs are looked after over there as well.
Well, it's just come into our hands, Bookmakers Afternoon Greyhound Service, where the bookies do racing just for the television so that people can bet on it, and dogs are hoarded, and greyhounds haven't got places to go to rescue centres. I mean, are these just horror stories that are made up, or is it true?
I think most of what you're talking about is completely made up. The dogs that come into the industry are all regulated. They have to be in regulated kennels with licensed trainers. The tracks are regulated as well by UCAS. We're the only industry that are registered with that accreditation. The dogs being hoarded, I don't quite understand what that means, but there are dogs out there, and they're well cared for, and they're looked after, and they're regulated by ourselves.
So, are you suggesting that the League for Cruel Sports, it's nefarious what they're doing, that they should just stop and let you get on with it?
I wish they would. I mean, we have veterinary surgeons at tracks for trialling and for racing as well. The League has sort of said that they did support standards coming up within greyhound racing, but now calling for a ban, and they are, along with a number of other small groups that are calling for a ban. The government are not looking at that as an option, because they can see the work that the Greyhound Board have done, along with trainers and with stadia and with the bookmaking fraternity, to actually improve standards within the industry.
Well, you've heard both sides. Now we want to speak